I'm Nichole.
And I'm Giu.
And welcome to Nichole and Giu Live, our podcast where we talk about things we love, things we hate, and things we love to hate. And welcome back for part 2 of our Twilight novel coverage. This is our coverage of the first novel. We just decided to break it into chapters.
We realized 4 hours was just an insane amount of Twilight content to consume all at once, so we thought breaking it up into parts might be a bit more digestible for everyone.
Unless you are very, very familiar with the Twilight story, which a lot of us are at this point, you can probably just jump into this just fine. But otherwise, you might want to go back and listen to part 1, which is the first part of the novel.
Our audio might get a little bit worse because this is the first podcast we ever recorded, but we promise when you come back for New Moon, it's going to be better and it's going to sound good like I sound right now.
Yes, me too. We both upgraded our whole systems after we had already recorded this episode.
I think the jokes make up for it, so hang in there.
Welcome to part 2. Thank you so much for joining us, and I hope you guys enjoy. Chapter 13.
Confessions. So the chapter opens, and we have our first scene of Edward sparkling in the sunlight.
Oh my god, the sparkling begins. This is the impetus of all of it. I think she says that his skin like shimmers, like it's got like hundreds of facets like a diamond. Sparkly vampires. Honestly, I do kind of love it as a concept now that it's like in the zeitgeist, but it really does take like all the freaking fun out of vampires, just like entirely. And also like
she could have made it in addition to instead of.
I agree, but like I think the traditional, I guess maybe she like didn't want to have them like get immolated in the sunlight the way vampires do in like traditional vampire media, but I don't know, it's just lame. Like it's just lame, personal opinion.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of people share your sentiment. I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of people out there who are like, oh my god, I can't believe she said she doesn't like the sparkly vampires.
Probably not. I don't think that's an unpopular opinion.
No, not at all. So then Bella tries to touch Edward and he like freaks the fuck out, and oh yeah, he says he's only human as a pun, basically.
I thought that was funny, but also his like just the way his emotions like switch in this chapter is like crazy. Like he's like back and forth.
Yeah, Edward is like the textbook definition of an abuser. It's like, oh, I'm gonna freak out, make you think it's your fault, and then be like, whoopsie, sorry, you know I didn't mean it though.
I'm so sorry, I love you so much. Like I would never do anything to hurt you.
And as he's doing this, Bella thinks he's, and I quote, never been less human or more beautiful.
I agree with Bella as somebody who also enjoys the not so human boys. I can see where Bella's coming from here.
But he says he can't control himself, but it's all right because he's not thirsty right now. So he's not gonna kill her yet.
So many squirrels, guys. He ate so many squirrels. Like he's fine.
Wonder how much blood is in a squirrel. Feel like not much.
I think he talks about him and Alice like going like in Midnight Sun. It like they go to like a park and just hunt like a jillion squirrels. They like decimate the local small wildlife.
They are terrible for the environment, just like letting your cat outside.
Oh my god, vegetarian vampires as bad for a local ecosystem as cats are.
Wait, we need to start a campaign about this. The people need to know. They're destroying the environment.
Oh my god. That's good. That should go on a shirt. We should put that on a shirt.
All right, we're doing shirt unboxing. It's coming, guys. So you wanted me to put a note here to bring up the fact that Stephanie Meyer made Edward a virgin.
Oh yeah, I just like you can really start to like tell in this chapter because he kind of like says it at a certain point, but it's just like so interesting to me, and it's like it honestly, I was like thinking about this like quite a lot actually. Stephanie Meyer like essentially wrote Edward as like a Jane Austen character, from the turn of the 20th century, like the way he talks and like the way he's like, "Oh, like I'm a virgin, like I'm like saving myself." Well, I don't know. He doesn't, but he it's like I've never been interested in anybody before you. Like I've just been asexual this entire time. Like as a 17-year-old boy for over 100 years. Okay. All right. That's all I have to say. I just think it's interesting. And it's like it's definitely a subversion of the usual vampire tropes, which is at least interesting, but once again just lame.
I guess probably her ideal man would be a virgin if she's Mormon, so she probably was like, "Oh, this is my ideal, so let's put
Yeah,
that in there."
Stephanie obviously from this whole book, Stephanie really wants to date like a turn of the 20th century gentleman. That's essentially what Edward is.
She could have just wrote this in the olden days.
But then she wouldn't. I think she also likes vampires, which
True.
like I don't blame her. There's like a lot of shit in here that's like really kind of like gleaned from like so many other like fictional vampire stories. Like there's little bits of like Buffy in here even.
Oh, interesting. I haven't
Yeah,
seen Buffy, so need you to point these things out for me.
Buffy, yes, is my favorite show. I would be happy to to illuminate the parallels that I see. But yeah, I just like it's just like honestly, she essentially vampirized the vampire genre. Like she just sucked all the fun and joy and sex out of it.
Can't have any of that.
That would be too far in our like blood sucking creatures of the night, you know?
Yeah, that would just be too far.
Okay, that's just something that really interests me. Complete side tangent.
No problem. Okay, so then Edward talks about people preferring different flavors and basically compares different blood types or like scents or whatever to like vanilla and strawberry and stuff. So, yep, we're food guys.
Some people prefer chocolate. Some people prefer strawberry. Like everyone is slightly different. Like I really just I do appreciate like the little bits of just like the frank discussion of just like
Did he ever say what it's based on? Like, is it based on blood type or diet or like
no, it's just I think it's just like one of those things. It's like every little special snowflake has a different smell, just like we're all individuals. Like
I see. All right, so then they discuss for a good while Edward's continuous restraint from killing her, and they just reminisce on like how he tried to avoid her by like leaving school and like how,
how many times he's not killed her. Like
yup, it's like how he had to read Jessica's mind because poor baby can't read a single, like one singular person's mind, and that's bothering him.
like immensely.
Yeah, they discuss this at length. Like, it's actually quite a long conversation they have where it's basically just boiled down to, like, look how good I'm doing at not murdering you. Yay!
Yay. Yay for Edward. Eddie's doing great.
Another classic line, just want to point this out. And so the lion fell in love with the lamb.
Oh gosh, I really like that line. And then Bella's like, "What a stupid lamb." And then Edward agrees with her that she is stupid.
Can any of us disagree at this point?
No.
So Edward grabs Bella's hand at one point and actually moves it to touch his face, which is just interesting because she tried to touch him earlier and he like ripped a tree in half. But I guess he like wanted her to do it now, and Bella's so happy. She's like, "I dreamed of this. This is great." And then Edward's like, "Climb on my back," and she asks if he's gonna turn into a bat, which just made me laugh.
That part made me laugh a lot too. I missed the bat like transformation. I think that's a great little bit of vampire lore.
That would have been kind of funny because Jacob can actually turn into a
Turn
wolf.
into a
So
wolf, right? Like they should be able to turn into something. And this is where like the classic line in the movie is "Hold on tight, spider monkey." My favorite line.
I did get disoriented at one point. I was like, when are they gonna climb up the tree? And Nicole's like, no, no, sweetie, like that's not happening.
Oh,
We should watch the movie at some point. That would be
we absolutely should. Movie review.
movie review coming soon. All right, so Bella climbs on Edward's back where he proceeds to run like an anime character, which I made the connection. We were talking earlier. You know how like Inuyasha because you made this connection that he was running like Inuyasha or Shishoburo. When they sniff around, they're like, "Oh, I recognize so and so's scent."
That was an uncanny invitation.
There's something there. There's something there. That should be a fan fiction, like crossover.
I agree with you 500,000%. And I just like am really impressed by your imitation of Inuyasha just then.
Thank you.
But we shall move on because this is not an Inuyasha podcast.
No, I will calm down for now.
For now.
All right, and our final thing, one of the last things that happens is they finally kiss, and after they kiss, who was it? I think it's Bella. She says, "Oops."
Bella says oops, yeah, because like Edward like so very gently and gentlemanly gives her just the slightest touch of lips, like lip to lip contact. And Bella loses her fucking mind and like tries to like mouth fuck him. So I mean, I don't disagree with Bella. I would do the same thing. But
Yeah, go for it, girl.
yeah, I'm like, get it. Like, please. Like, this boy has been a virgin for 107 years.
Maybe that's why he pulled away. He was like, "Oh God, when was the last time I kissed somebody?"
Never. I don't think he's ever kissed anybody. I don't think. Man, this chapter just makes me want to read Midnight Sun, which is awful because it's
It's so long, but we might have to.
fucking masochistic of me to want to read that book again.
If we're gonna go into the Twilight extended universe, though, like we're probably gonna have to.
Oh, we will do it. We will
We're gonna
do
have to
it.
take turns locking each other in a room and like forcing each other to listen to it.
Oh my god. Yeah. I mean, you're not wrong. And I just love the little glimpses. Like the WD-40 is one of my favorite things in the
Oh my
entire
God,
world.
it's so funny. That's one of my favorite scenes in the whole thing. It's probably the only good thing about Midnight Sun. This was the chapter in Midnight Sun when we tried to read it where we couldn't do it anymore. It's like a 2-hour chapter, and Edward's thoughts are down to like a micro millisecond, and that's all I'll say about it because
Oh my god, no, I did forget to make a comment like back when we were talking about Edward ripping the tree in half is like in Midnight Sun, that's him having like a fucking like 14-page fucking tantrum in his head. Like like all in the split second it takes him to run to the tree. It's like literally never ending. It's one of the worst things.
yeah, it's so much. It just goes on and on. I think that just no one was, I think they were scared to tell her that she needed to calm down and cut some stuff out.
No, she had made too much money. They were never going to tell her to edit.
Nope. She was like, "It's done." They were like, "Are you sure?" And she was like, "Yep."
This is exactly how I want it. Oh, this is honestly Midnight Sun is proof to me that like Twilight started as like Stephanie Meyer's like personal masturbation material. But that is all. Okay, that was a tangent.
No worries. Well, we won't be able to make any more Midnight Sun comparisons after this, I don't think, because we haven't read that far in that
No.
book.
That's true. We did only get about to here.
Yep. Yep. I don't even think we finished the chapter. I think we
No.
were like, we could just not do this. Like, we don't have to do this.
We don't have to torture ourselves.
But
Yeah.
we might have to for the people.
You know what? If we're making content about it, if it's for the people, I will do it. If it's for you guys, I promise
We'll do this for you.
We'll have to like get to probably like a certain number of likes on something first. TBD. Chapter 14.
Mind over matter. Edward and Bella are in the car. They're coming back from the meadow. They're listening to music, and Edward says he only likes 50s music, I guess. He says it's better than like 60s and 70s, which is like weird take.
Weird take, bad opinion, but like, okay, go off. I mean, not that music was bad in the 50s. 50s music is good, but.
He did say 80s music was okay, so.
Okay, that is a correct opinion, but like. Taking out the 60s and 70s, just incorrect opinion, if you ask me.
I agree. And so Edward starts talking a little bit about his past and his family's past. So he's talking about how Carlisle saved him when his family died from Spanish influenza. And then he's talking about how kind of their family came together. And the backstories for me was a little dry.
Oh my gosh. I feel like you don't really get a backstory about anybody. You kind of get like a lot of hero worship of Carlisle. Like Edward's like, I don't think you would find his equal like throughout all of history, and like big take, man. And I mean, I get it. Carlisle is pretty great, and also he's like very compassionate, and that's his like vampire superpower or something. But you don't really find out anything about anybody. He's just like, Esme fell off a cliff, and they brought her to the hospital.
Literally her backstory, and like that was it. I was like, that was the best you could come up with, that she fell off a cliff.
Yeah,
Really? Rosalie saved Emmett from being eaten by a bear, which is crazy, and she apparently carried him 100 miles, like, as a human. Like, I don't believe you.
yeah, and she carried him to Carlisle because Carlisle is like the only one of us who can like change somebody without draining them. But like somehow she did it, and like I don't know. Like, I mean, I love Carlisle. Carlisle is my like sleeper favorite character, but man, it's obviously not that hard.
Yeah, I agree. I do like Carlisle, but I thought him telling the backstories was a little dry. I thought maybe, I don't know, it could have been a little more in depth, or maybe had those stories come out over time instead of just being like, here is a laundry list of every member in my family and kind of vaguely how they almost died and now they're alive.
Yeah, and then like Alice, and he talks about Alice and Jasper as well. And like they're both like special snowflakes who like found Carlisle and Esme, but they both have powers, which is like what I don't get like the distribution of powers in the vampires. Like I think Edward says in this chapter that not all vampires have powers, but all of them do, except for Emmett, unless his power is muscles.
Some of their powers kind of suck though. Like one of them was just like love.
Oh yeah, Esme's power was just like Esme. She's like she can love compassionately or like powerfully or
That's a
something.
terrible superpower. I'm sorry. I'm not a super vampire person, but I can still love. I don't
Yeah,
know. That's a terrible superpower. You could congratulations, you could do something like every fucking person on the planet can do.
yeah. And then like Rosalie, I guess his power is prettiness.
Again, a terrible power.
Again, a terrible power. Alice has a cool power. Alice can see the future.
Edward's power is pretty cool too. I think
No, Edward's got the best one for sure out of all of them.
yeah, they actually have like unique things though that like a human can't do. I think I did shit on Edward's power earlier, but I think that's because I didn't like how like Bella was written out of his power. I kind of think it would have been interesting if she had to write around the fact that he can read Bella's thoughts and she like can't hide from him.
Yeah, and then finally we have Jasper. I think we've touched on everybody. Jasper's power is supposedly like the most subtle and like interesting, but Jasper can like influence people's emotions, which is actually like if you sit down and actually think about it, like a super fucking OP power.
I do like that one, and based on what you've said before, that's probably the most vampire-y of them.
Yeah, that is pretty vampire-y. And it also is pretty vampire-y. And Jasper is like definitely the most like I don't know. I like Jasper's character.
Yeah, I like him too. So after we get bombarded with facts about Edward's family,
Many facts. Like it's like you both get bombarded by the facts, but also
I just don't like the way they were delivered. Like it's like, you know how when there's a character description and they just are like, she had brown hair and blue eyes and she wore a jacket and sneakers and like da. That's kind of how I felt. Where it's like I don't not want to know what the character looks like and like her style, but at the same time, I don't necessarily need it as like a bullet pointed list all right now.
that is a really good point. Yeah. And but I feel like that's very like Stephanie Meyer.
That is fair. I'm pretty sure we had a clothing description in like paragraph 1 or something, if I'm remembering correctly. So I don't know what I expected when I came here. Um, so Edward and Bella get back to her house where they talk, and Edward sits in Charlie's chair and casually mentions to Bella that he's been sneaking into the house and is
Okay.
literally just like, please don't be mad.
I literally okay, so like I know that this like is an opinion that a lot of people have pointed out, but that is just like so over the line. Like, and then
And
he's just like, please, he like grabs her hand and is like, please don't be mad at me. And I'm just like, the fucking manipulation. Like, who's not gonna be mad about that? Like, that's insane. And then Bella's like, not, though.
yeah, she's like, well, it depends. I don't know if I'm mad. And I'm like, what? What do you mean?
What do you actually mean? He's like he's been oiling your windows, Bella.
She doesn't know about the window oiling yet.
No,
That might be too far.
You've been doing home maintenance.
Oh my god. Yeah, I had to stop at that part. I was like, wow, she ain't even mad that he's just coming into the room and like he's talking about how he's watching her sleep and she doesn't even care. She's just like, "Oh, I might be mad, but I guess I'm not."
She's like, I might be mad depending on what you heard. But then, like, he heard the thing that she didn't want him to hear. And then she's just like, oh, but you're in love with me, so it's fine.
And she's not even mad about him coming in. She's just upset that like he like may have heard her talking in her sleep. She's not focused at all about the fact that he came into her house.
That's a valid point on the fact that he actually came into her house. And, like, it doesn't seem to be a part of this one that vampires have to be invited in.
I guess not. I guess. God damn it. Oh my god, this fucking book.
Oh, okay. We must move on.
Yes, we must. We must. Okay, so Charlie gets home. Edward runs up to Bella's room. Charlie is casually like, Bella, don't you have a boyfriend yet? What about Mike Newton? And Bella's like,
What about that Mike boy?
it's so weird. I feel like Charlie regularly is like, why aren't you going to the dance? Why don't you have a boyfriend? Why is Charlie like the only dad in the world that wants his daughter to date and then brings it up all the time?
Like,
Very
brings it up
strange.
continuously. Man, like, well, you know how my dad reacted the first time I told him I was going on a date?
Oh god, I don't remember.
Isn't that a little drastic? That's what he said to me.
I'm so what? 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 What?
It's like,
As opposed to what? Like drastic in what way?
I don't know. Just probably just like existing as his daughter.
Okay.
My dad's fucking weird, man. I love him, but man, is he weird.
Well, Charlie does not share that sentiment. He wants his daughter to date someone as soon as possible.
Charlie wants his daughter to date Mike, apparently. Probably because of that sports goods store money.
Oh yeah, yeah. He's trying to marry her into some sporting goods money. So then, at some point, Bella goes upstairs, and her dad thinks she's sneaking out, so she showers and like goes downstairs in her pajamas. Yeah,
Ugly pajamas. Really ugly pajamas. Like, she's in like a holy t-shirt and sweatpants. And I'm like, girl, don't you have some shorts? Like,
yeah. Why do you still have that shirt with those holes in them? I know you can afford another shirt. I know you own another one.
or just like, man, do the like classic and put on the holy t-shirt, but then no pants.
There you go. Well, somehow she thinks that like the pajamas are gonna convince her dad that she's not sneaking out, which I was just like, you could literally just like change your clothes in like 1 second, but whatever, it's fine. I'm not gonna focus on that. So she goes back upstairs with Edward, where they discuss more about how hard it is for Edward to be with Bella, and they talk a little bit more about how he watched her sleep. And he says he never imagined wanting to be with someone, apparently. We also discussed that Edward has a lot of like deep vampire-y thoughts that like aren't actually that deep.
No, yeah, I feel like I've been like bringing up Anne Rice a lot just because she's kind of like the seminal work on vampires. You know what I mean? And she like I feel like these vampires are essentially just the Anne Rice vampires, but like she just wanted to make them completely like make them adhere completely to like her Mormon Christian moral code, which honestly just takes most of the fun out of the vampires. Just from somebody who loves vampires, it just takes all of the like the fun out of it.
Yeah, I feel like she like took away like the emotional depth that could have been there and instead replaced the moral grayness with like, but I might kill Bella. And like
Yeah.
that's it. Like that's his whole personality. And there's like not actually anything deeper than like him just being like, trust me, I'm dangerous.
I'm definitely dangerous. Like, you could die. Yeah.
So as they're talking, Bella asks where vampires came from, and they sort of not so subtly allude to the fact that like baby God created vampires.
I thought that was funny.
It was
That's
funny.
all. I just thought it was funny.
Yeah, we just had to throw that in there. And then Bella also casually asks Edward if they can get married, which is not how it went down exactly, but
No, I mean, kind of though. She's like, I think she's using that to allude to like, could we bang? Which I just think is really funny because, like, why bring up marriage instead of just being like, could we bang?
yeah, but she's asking the context was she was asking about because who got married a couple of times.
Emmett and Rosalie.
Oh yeah, yeah, they've been married a couple times, and she asked if it was like normal. But I don't know. If I asked a guy I was not even really dating yet if we could get married, who I know for like 3 weeks, I'd be kind of embarrassed.
Agreed.
And Edward's like, "No, bitch, we can't get married because I might kill you by accident one day." And then he sings to her,
Yeah.
and that was our chapter.
Interesting into the chapter, but like, here for it. We're getting into it now, guys. This is the juicy stuff.
I can tell we're getting into it because I feel like we've been a little bit more passionate these last couple chapters.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It starts out very boring. I feel like that's universally known. Chapter 15.
The Cullens. The chapter starts with Bella waking up and Edward's still there and Bella's super happy.
Oh my god, she is like ecstatic. She like launches herself across the room at him. I thought that was kind of funny.
I like kind of relate though, because when you're like a teenager, you don't really get to do stuff like that. So it's probably like a huge deal to her that they can spend that time together.
That he's like still there in the morning. Yeah. No, I agree. But
It was very funny. She was very ecstatic. But then she realizes his clothes are different and she's like, oh, you left. No.
you left, and then she's like, "Oh my god, I have morning breath. I have to go brush my teeth."
And then Edward said, what would the neighbors think if he came out in the same clothes? Which, like, I'm not paying that close of attention to my neighbors, but maybe he just wants to feel fresh. Then they talk about how she's talking in her sleep again, and she was talking about how she loves Edward while she was sleeping. And Edward says, you are my life now. And I'm pretty sure they've known each other for not even a month at this point.
Like months. I think it's been a couple months, like, because there's been like some weeks, like in the middle of like them going to school and stuff.
Well, I think the whole book takes place over 3 months.
Is it really?
Or am I getting it confused with 50 Shades?
I think maybe that's the first 50 Shades book.
I want to say the whole 50 Shades book takes place over a month though. I think
1
this
month.
one is like 3 months.
You might be right. I need to look up a timeline.
Well, regardless, it hasn't been that long, but they love each other is being confirmed.
Yeah, and I feel like that was kind of like a convenient like way for Stephanie to write like their initial like love confession, right? Like cuz they didn't have to make it, she didn't have to agonize about it. He's just like, "Well, you said you loved me in your sleep." And then I don't know. It's just like I felt like it was kind of like cheap because usually that's like something that like in your first relationship you're like, "Oh, but like when do I like say it?" And it's been like a matter of days and she's just like, "Well, I'm just going to have Bella say it in her sleep." So now it's just like out
You know what my boyfriend says to me in my sleep? He's like, "Why
there.
aren't He's like, "Why aren't you going mid? What are you doing?"
What does that even mean?
Like in League of Legends, like there's different positions. Like
I'm not a League player. I did not know what that reference was, but that is really funny.
I'm sorry, I assumed you would know, but I just if there's like some subliminal messaging about what our partners are saying to us in our sleep, maybe I'm not playing, I don't play League, but I'm obviously not doing a good job.
My partner says like the most random things. Like we'll just wake up and be like, "Oh, the car needs to go over there," or like something.
See, subliminal messaging, there's hidden meaning in there. So then after they do their little love confession, Edward throws Bella over his shoulder to go downstairs because he is a gentleman. And then they're having breakfast, and he's like, what would you say to meeting my family? and assures her that the family already knows about their whole situation, so it's not gonna be that weird. And he's getting impatient about Charlie. He's like, "Are you gonna tell Charlie that I'm your boyfriend or no? What's going on?"
And Bella's like, "Oh my god," just horrified eating cereal. Like, doesn't she say like the idea of the word boyfriend and Charlie and Edward all in the same conversation like made her feel ill? Like,
I get that though. Like I'm on Bella's side with that one because I'm not trying to tell my parents about
no, yeah,
my love life when I'm a teenager. Now they know.
absolutely.
But it's a
Absolutely.
teenager. Like I don't think so.
Not sharing. But Edward is like too gentlemanly. He's like, no, like your father has to know about me, and like you're gonna come meet my father. But I feel like I don't know. It's just kind of like goes to his like old sensibilities. Like I feel like that's very old fashioned of him.
Yeah, that makes sense. I guess she's keeping him in character, so I'll give her that. So then when he said, "Y'all meet my family," he meant right now. They're in the car, they're going over there, and then she goes in the door and she sees Charlie and Esme and Alice and Jasper.
Oh no, she sees Carlisle.
Oh, Carlisle. I don't know why I said Charlie. My bad. Oh,
Because Carlisle and Charlie are meant to be. That's why.
there we go. There we go. Oh my God, please. She walks in and they're both there. Please.
Crack pick. I smell a crack pick.
Please. I will read the shit out of that.
But yeah, no, I think she sees like Carlisle and Esme standing there and they're like trying to be really like nice about her and not like scare her. And then Alice like shows up and Alice like runs at her really fast and like Carlisle like gives her a look like you shouldn't like show your powers like that. But Alice like fucking loves Bella because she has seen in the future that Bella is going to be her best friend. But I guess we don't know that.
Well, maybe that's the real ship.
Alice and Bella?
Yeah.
Oh my god, yes. Alice and Bella is the true ship, like, of all time.
So then there's a piano in there, and Bella's reminiscing about how her mom used to poorly play the piano, and she didn't know that Edward plays piano, so he plays for her and is like, "Yep, I wrote this music." And she said it was hard to believe that only one set of hands played. So not only can he play, he's like the best at it ever because he's got fast vampire hands.
He's got fast vampire hands. I guess he's had a long time to practice, but, like, also it's
That's a
just,
good
like
point.
I think even Bella points out, she's like, "Oh, I guess Edward really can, like, do everything." And it's like, yeah,
He's perfect,
he's perfect. Exactly.
except for the whole gaslighty manipulation thing. But don't worry about that.
Don't worry about that at all.
Yeah, just look the other way. So then they're talking, and Edward mentions that Rosalie's jealous of Bella because she's human, and that Rosalie also wishes she was human. He casually mentions that visitors are coming soon, doesn't really elaborate, but we all know what's gonna happen.
What does he say in that part? I thought it was really funny. He's like, "I didn't want you to think that I'm naturally a tyrant."
Oh yeah, but he kind of is though.
He kind of is though. Like I'm like, you are naturally a tyrant, Edward. Like you gotta
Yeah.
calm down.
Well, he has at least a justification for it for the next few days.
Exactly. Like the random vampires are coming and they're like curious. I guess I don't know. He says they're curious about their way of life. So does that mean that like other vampires are like I don't know, are they like the celebrities of the vampire world?
Maybe since there's not a lot of vampires, maybe they all kind of just have adapted to whatever area they're in and just sort of do whatever they've always done. So they're probably not doing a lot of communicating and like sharing
Oh, yeah.
best practices of living in the human world. I don't know.
Yeah.
So Bella's crying. I don't remember why, but Edward eats one of her tears.
Bella's crying because the music is so beautiful. The music that Edward wrote for her is so beautiful that it brings her to tears. And then you are right though. Then he like eats one of her tears and it's very creepy.
I know you can't see the look on my face, but just imagine like the green nauseous emoji.
Just like not great. Not great.
I have nothing to say to that other than just acknowledging that that was very strange. So then they get not they because Edward lives there, but Bella gets a house tour. And she's like, "There's no coffins," and he's like, "No," and we're sad about that because we want some vampire shit.
Man, I like Bella was all like anxious, like, oh no coffin. like with anxiety, and like would say that with like sadness. Like, man, their house is so boring. There's nothing cool in there except for like Carlisle's antiques. That's it.
Yeah, it would have been. I don't know. I guess she probably wanted to make it like, oh, but he's like perfect and not too like cartoony vampire-ish. But
I mean, but like it doesn't
we
need to
love
be
a coffin.
pretty, but like we love a coffin. We love like some dark wood and stuff. I mean, I guess it's just taste, right? And none of the taste in this book aligns with my own. I think that the outfit Bella is wearing is like a khaki skirt with like a blue top and like gag, if you ask me. But it's just my opinion.
Yeah, I think she just wanted to make him very like handsome, rich guy that like every woman wants, basically. Like she didn't want to make him like too vampire-y. She just wanted him to be a little dangerous and mysterious.
That's the fun part, though.
It is, it really is. So then we get some backstory about Carlisle and how like he had to help hunt vampires back in the day because that was like something his family was doing.
Because his father was like a vicar at like a church that so they're like were hunting like witches and stuff. And most of I think like Edward says like Carlisle was like better at it than his family. So he found some like actual vampires. Like most of his family had just been like accusing regular like people of being witches and like drowning them.
Yeah, but it said he was kind of reluctant to like pick random people, so I guess he had special eyes. He was actually looking instead of
Yeah,
just killing random people. And then one day he
because
gets
Carlisle is so good.
he is, and that's I guess goes into his vampireness and is amplified after he gets attacked by a vampire and hides in rotting potatoes for 3 days to escape his
Transformation.
family village. That whole thing, I guess. Well, he didn't want to get killed, I guess. Like,
Yeah.
he knew they were gonna burn him alive, so he hid in potatoes.
I thought that was really funny.
I liked this full backstory better than the backstory we got about the rest of the family. Like, this is kinda how I felt maybe we shoulda got more of it, where it's like, this kinda came up naturally. We actually got a full backstory, and it wasn't just like, yeah, once he got bit by a vampire and that's it, basically. It wasn't just like a little one-liner. Yeah, I was interested in this, so I liked the way they did the backstory here. I'm gonna give give 'em to that.
I would have liked like more like to expand on this and like Carlisle's past, but doesn't happen in this book at least. So
Yeah, yeah, that's true. And I feel like we don't necessarily need to get the whole thing right now. I just appreciated that it was like a little bit more thought out than just like, oh, and then like this one bitch fell off a cliff.
chapter 16.
Carlisle. So the backstory continues of Carlisle, and they just talk about how he, after becoming a vampire, becomes a wanderer for a few months and like leaves his family and where he lived because he doesn't want to kill anybody. So he's just wandering around, starving, and finally he like loses it and eats a deer, and he's like, "That was pretty all right. I think."
That's like the start of the whole thing. I love Carlisle's backstory, actually. He's the only one that we get a lot of backstory for.
That's probably why it's easier to like him
Yeah,
because you actually do get that nice fleshed out backstory.
yeah, and he's like, but Carlisle is just so good. Like that's Carlisle's main trait is he's just the goodest boy of all the boys. He's like, doesn't Edward say that he basically was like born into a vampire with his morality intact. So he's essentially like Angel when he gets his soul back. Honestly, like I don't really get the Angel vibes as much off of Carlisle though as off of Edward.
That makes sense because people love Angel, don't they? So it's probably projected onto Edward more because, she wants people to love Edward.
Oh my gosh.
He continues his story, casually mentions that Carlisle swam to France, and also casually mentions that vampires don't need to breathe. And Bella's like, wait, what? And Edward's like, shut up, I'm telling a story. So, so then he talks more about how Carlisle goes where? To Italy?
Yeah, to Italy, and that's where he like finally meets the Volturi, who will at some point become important. I don't even think that their name though. It's just like more refined vampires that like live in an actual society instead of like just the wraiths that lived in the London sewers that like turned Carlisle.
Yes, yes. So he stays there and he simultaneously studies medicine and he trains himself basically to be immune to the scent of human blood so it just doesn't bother him anymore. Which I kind of like that they addressed that because I'm sure that we mentioned at some point, like, how the heck is he in a hospital all the time? That must be horrible for him. But I guess he just has godlike.
Morality power.
Yep.
Like Carlisle is just the most moral of all people, and so apparently the human blood doesn't even bother him anymore. And he must be like the best surgeon ever, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, he probably is. He's had like 300 some years of practice at this point. So,
Studying medicine since it wasn't even medicine.
yeah, what was medical school like back then? I remember looking up for D&D like what was medical school like in the 1800s and it was only like 3 years long or something like that. So, it's definitely.
Medical school in the 1800 was essentially just like rich kids showing up and them like poking at like a dead body that was definitely like a convict,
And then they were probably like, "All right, do you want me to cut it off or do opium about it?"
basically.
So then that's literally just my old Call of Cthulhu character. So anyway, then um, he decides that he wants to make his own clan basically because he's just living by himself, but he doesn't want to like harm anyone, obviously. So he finds Edward like after his parents died.
Of the Spanish influenza.
Yep, and then Edward was also going to die. So Charlie, not Charlie, I keep calling him Charlie. I think it's just because they both have C names, and I don't know, they're spelled. They got a lot of the same letters. Okay, just leave me alone. So yeah, so that's why he picks Edward because he wanted to pick someone whose life wasn't going to be ruined.
And Edward was like on the brink of death. So Carlisle turns him. Edward doesn't really say much about the actual like turning process.
No, he didn't really talk about that. But then he talks about how when he gets a little older, he like starts rebelling and he wants to go like be on his own and he leaves the Cullens and he decides he's like gonna have a little bit of morality. He's like, I'm just gonna kill evil people. He's got like some Death Note light mentality going on.
The Death Note light mentality for sure, but like this is when I was really getting Angel vibes. Like in this moment, I'm like, oh, like this is essentially just Angel when he gets like when he's Angel and has his soul and not Angelus without his soul. It's a whole thing. Buffy heads will know.
Yeah, I unfortunately don't know anything about Buffy, but we have discussed maybe venturing into that at some point.
Oh my god, you'd love it. Buffy is so good. Like
I don't doubt it. I think it would be fun. It's vampire related. We could talk about it. I'm sure it would be a good time. But as of now, we only have one Buffy expert. You'll always be the Buffy expert. I can never get on your level.
Thank you. I will take that crown.
So after he's out killing people for a while, he's like, maybe I am a terrible person. And then he goes back to the Cullens where they're like, it's okay. You can come back.
The monster is me. Yeah, I think like they welcome him back with open arms, Edward
Yeah.
said.
Yeah. So they're like, it's okay. You got it out of your system. Just come back. Reminder that they're still just like sitting in a room and
They're
talking.
in Carlisle's office. In the house. Carlisle's office, by the way, is decorated a little bit better. I think she said that it looks like a college dean like office would look with more books than she had ever seen. And like I do approve of that style choice.
Yeah, it's a little bit less like generic, I think. It shows a little bit of his personal style, which I like.
And I love the books. So many books. Oh my god.
Yeah, we love a library.
I bet it smells great in there.
Oh, okay. So then Alice and Jasper come in, and Alice says, "We came to see if you were having Bella for lunch and wanted to know if you would share." Which,
Oh my god, I love that.
yes, the Alice and Bella ship is so real at this point.
Alice is my favorite character. Like she's just the most fun by far. It's like that little quote, and then I think in the previous chapter when she meets Bella, she says, "Oh, you do smell good. I hadn't noticed before." I'm just like, what?
I feel like there's some flirting going on. Maybe I'm imagining it, but I'm gonna pretend it's there.
I I don't know. I think so, for sure. And Alice is so cute. Alice is like my favorite one of the vampires by far.
Yeah, I love her. I think everyone loves Alice.
I don't think it's an unpopular opinion. Yeah.
No. Before when she had not like said that much yet, I was like, I kind of don't really remember how I feel. Like, I don't feel anything yet. But now I'm really like starting to vibe.
Oh yeah. You're like, oh right. Yes, Alice is the best one of all of you.
Yes, I remember now. And then Jasper asks about playing baseball, and Bella's like, "Y'all play baseball?" And Edward's like, "Yeah, it's the American pastime." And
I think that's so like of all the things. Okay, fine.
does Stephanie Meyer like baseball?
I have no idea.
Like,
She
I wonder
must,
if this came
right?
from somewhere, but like maybe does she like any sports? Like, I don't know. I have no clue. I'm just wondering if this like came from something she had like an actual affinity for, or if she just like thought it would be funny if the vampires played
Play
baseball.
baseball. I mean, vampire baseball is like a great concept, great meme. Like I do appreciate it being in the world now.
Oh yeah. I'm definitely not complaining about it. I think it's funny. I love all the merch people make of like Cullen baseball team stuff.
Vampire baseball.
Yeah.
Vampire baseball.
Chapter 17.
The game. Edward and Bella leave Edward's. They go back to Bella's where they meet up, not meet up with on purpose, but see Billy and Jacob who have fish fry.
They're like waiting. Billy and Jacob are like waiting in the rain.
Yeah, that's why I was like they meet up, but then I was like I feel like that's a little bit misleading because that sounds like it's on purpose.
That they want on purpose. Yeah, Edward was like, this is bad. This is gonna complicate things. And Bella's like,
Yeah.
let's deal with them. Like
Randomly, seemingly, Billy's like, "Oh, go get like a photo." I don't remember which sister it was of your sister
Rebecca.
Jacob out of the car. Yes, Rebecca, thank you. And then they go in the house and Billy confronts Bella about or just Bella and Billy go in the house. And Billy confronts Bella about spending time with one of the Cullens. And Bella's like, "Well, that's not your business."
Mind your business, old man, basically. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cause like I think he says like she says something about the treaty and he's like, oh, you're very informed about the Cullens. And she's like, maybe better informed than you, Billy.
Yeah, she told him. She was like, "Leave me alone." So Jacob comes in the house. He's like, "I couldn't find anything." So it becomes very obvious that Billy was just trying to distract him. And then Jacob is sad because they're leaving. And then Jessica calls pretty much instantly to talk about the dance with Bella where she kissed Mike. She's very excited.
I'm excited for Jessica, honestly. Like, if she, Mike is the consolation prize in this book, like, she should be happy.
Yeah, she's excited about it. Maybe Mike can have a girl that actually likes him. So good, good for
Exactly.
you, Mike.
Good for everybody.
So then Jessica asks about Edward, but then Charlie gets home like right then, and Jessica understands that we don't tell parents things. So she's like,
So
"Oh, okay, we'll talk
she's
about
like,
it later."
we'll talk about it tomorrow, Bella. She's literally like, oh, I hear that your dad's there. Like, I'll talk to you in trig. I thought that
That's
was
some shit
funny.
that we would have done back in the day
Yeah,
for
it's
sure.
like the unspoken rule for sure. I mean, we would have had a code word knowing
Oh,
us.
we would have. We would have been like, "Oh, pizza, goodbye." So then Bella reveals to Charlie that Edward had invited her over to meet his parents because they are dating.
Charlie practically has an aneurysm. I think that like it says that exactly that Charlie practically has an aneurysm and is like, "You're dating one of the Cullen boys? I thought none of the boys attracted you. Like the one of them is too old for you." And she's like, "No, it's like the younger one. I'm dating the younger one."
Yeah, he said, "I thought you didn't like any of the boys in town." And she's like, "Well, Edward doesn't live in town."
I thought that was funny. Like that's
That
some
was
like
funny.
teenage obfuscation if I've ever heard it.
Yeah. So then Edward shows up in a Jeep that she is surprised to see him in.
A giant jeep with like I think it says she says that the wheels are like taller than her waist, like Jesus.
Yeah, and they have those like seat belts for like when you're gonna roll your car, or
Yeah, like a roll cage, the whole nine.
Bella had told Charlie, like, I'm going to play baseball, so he knows actually
Charlie
what's
was
going
also
on.
like, "What the fuck?" too. He's like, "You're taking her to play baseball?"
Yeah,
Like,
he's like, wow, you must really like him if he's getting you to play sport.
oh, valid.
Mhm.
Valid.
So Edward shows up, and I have to quote this, looking like a male model in an advertisement for raincoats.
I thought
It's
that was
just, I love that. So Edward promises Charlie that Bella will
nice
be
and
safe
wet.
with him. He's wet. Um, but I just thought that was interesting because Edward spends so much time convincing Bella that she isn't safe with him. So he goes out of his way to tell Charlie that Bella will be safe, not just like,
Well,
we'll be back soon or anything like that.
it's part of his old-fashioned mannerisms. Like when he like walks in and meets him, he's like, "It's nice to meet you, Chief Swan." Like I don't know. It's like so fucking. I am a good boy.
Yeah, parents must love him. So they go out to the Jeep. Bella's really surprised. We kind of already talked about that. And then she's like, "Oh, we're not running there." And he's like, "Well, we're not running all the way there." And Bella's like, "Wait, what?"
I don't
So,
want to do that. She like basically is like like fuck. I don't want to run. And like don't blame her. But then like Edward uses his like manipulating gaslight powers on her as
yep. So then they end up running, where
yeah.
Bella immediately falls off once they get there.
I know that was funny. Bella falls. Like I think we lost our fall count.
We did. I should have been writing it down. I'm a bad host, but
Ah.
she did fall. Let it be known.
Edward fucking laughed at her too, which was really funny. Edward like fully breaks out guffawing at her.
It's rare that Edward laughs, so at least
Like
he can enjoy people getting hurt at his expense. So then they go and meet up with the rest of the Cullens, and Esme almost immediately trauma dumps on Bella. I thought this was like pretty like whoa.
yeah, basically like as soon as everybody walks away, like she's like, "Did Edward tell you about me?" Like
Yeah, and so then she starts talking about how her baby died and she threw herself off a cliff, and Bella's like, "I thought you fell." And Esme's like, "No."
what a gentleman. Edward, of course, wouldn't tell you that I tried to commit suicide because he's a gentleman.
I I think that's just basic common courtesy, but go off, I guess.
Yeah.
But I that just really shocked me that Esme just instantly started telling her that. But then they start playing baseball, and Bella begins to understand why they need the thunderstorm because there's just anytime they do anything, it's just like booming, cracking noises.
Yeah, whenever they hit the ball or they like hit each other, it's like sounds like thunder. So they
Hmm.
needed the storm to play.
Yep. And then Bella casually mentions to Edward that she wishes that she could find something that he didn't do better than everyone else on the planet. So it is just canon that Edward is totally perfect at absolutely everything. And then Alice ends up realizing that someone heard them playing, specifically three someones.
Oh, yes, the visitors. The visitors that Edward was warning her about, like, heard
Hmm.
them playing and diverted their course, and now they're on their way, and nobody's very happy about it.
Nope. And then I think it was Carlisle was like, well, let's just keep playing.
Yeah, Carlisle's like, "Well, let's just calmly keep playing, and we'll deal with it diplomatically when they get here," because Carlisle is, like, the goodest boy.
So then they just continue to play like half-heartedly, and Edward apologizes to Bella for putting her in danger, which is interesting because according to him, she's always in danger. But I guess at least he said sorry. He did at least one kind of nice thing, I guess.
It's other danger, danger other than him this time. Chapter 18.
The hunt. The chapter opens with Laurent, Victoria, and James entering the clearing.
They show up. The plot has arrived. Like here we go. We're like how far into the book now, and like the main event is like just starting.
Yeah, like three-fourths into the book.
It's like just the whispers of starting. Like I do love James, Laurent, and Victoria though. Like Laurent, I just love because he's great, but Victoria is awesome. Like I used to love her. when I was like younger, the first time I was reading this, I remember that I actually like when I went to the midnight release for the New Moon book. I don't even remember what year it was. Like whatever year that book came out, I don't know. But I actually entered a costume contest as Victoria, and I was like, I thought that I was perfect. I had like red hair at that point, and I put like leaves and shit in it. I was just like, oh my gosh, I look amazing. And then some girl dressed as one of the Volturi one because she just had like a cool goth dress, and I was very
I saw pictures of that outfit. I remember it looking really good, your outfit. I'm sure the other girl looked good too, but they probably just picked whoever like did the most extravagant outfit as opposed to like who was the most accurate.
yeah, because I was like exactly book accurate to Victoria. So I really love her as a character, and like James and Laurent are cool too.
I looked up when the book came out. It was 2006.
Oh my god. Wait, is that when was that when Twilight came out or when New Moon came out?
New Moon came out 2006.
Oh my god, really?
Yep.
I mean, that sounds about right, but Jesus Christ.
Twilight came out in 2005.
Oh my lord.
That's cool that you went to the release though. I wasn't
Yeah.
into Twilight back then, but I kind of wish I had gone just so I could say I went.
I wish I had gone to more of the midnight releases for the Twilight books. That was a thing that I did religiously every time there was a release of a Harry Potter book back then. And we would just like stay up late in the bookstore and I would just like read comic books. Those were like a good time.
That does sound fun. I never went to any of the book ones, but I went to a few video game ones back in the day. And it was, I don't know, you're not doing a whole lot but like hanging out with your friends in line and like poking around a store. But I don't know, it was still pretty fun.
It's a fun event. Like I wish they had stuff like that nowadays.
Yeah, but I guess everything's digital, so we're not allowed to leave the house anymore.
Yep.
All right. So after they get to the clearing, they ask to play baseball, and Carlisle's like, no, like, we're just leaving, actually. Maybe another time.
Like we would love to play with you some other time. And then is that when they catch a whiff of Bella?
Yeah, then James starts sniffing, and then I think Laurent sees James sniffing, and then he starts sniffing.
And then they're just like, "Oh my god, you brought a snack? Who says I brought? Who says that? Like it's
Laurent said that. Yeah. I love that line.
the best lines in the whole book for sure."
They obviously the Cullens realize that they're like wary about Bella. They're like, oh shit, we got to get Bella out of here. So they just like go. They just start leaving like as fast as they can, basically.
Edward goes crazy. Like Edward's like guarding her like a lion and like snarling and shit. Like Bella like is like terrified of them, and they have red eyes. Like because they drink blood, they've got red eyes.
I will say this is something that Edward did to put Bella in danger. He like brought her out there, and that was his fault. So it might not be him specifically being dangerous, but it is like by proxy his fault.
Him being an idiot, that's dangerous.
Yeah. Yeah, he's not vicious, he's just stupid.
Just really, really dumb.
Weaponized stupidity.
Honestly, if you think about it, like, why would they even like try to play baseball with other vampires in the area? Like,
I don't know. I really don't know. Or like, why did they bring her out there? Because you don't like understand in this book like how far Edward can see and smell, but in Midnight Sun, you do. So having that knowledge that Edward has and knowing there's other vampires and he still like knowingly brought her out there, that don't make any sense.
it's pretty dumb. It's a bit of a plot hole, honestly, because they're very conscientious about a lot of other stuff, and like Alice not seeing this possibility of this confrontation kind of like goes against like how her powers are explained a little bit later, but like
Yeah, and they already kind of knew, like it was mentioned. I feel like I wonder if maybe because the vampires can travel really fast, so I wonder if like they were already out there and then maybe realized because they just like got there so quickly that like that was the time frame that they would realize it in. Maybe that would have been better.
well, whatever, she had to get the plot started. So the
Yeah.
fact that like it was a stupid decision to bring Bella out there is kind of like explained by the fact that the plot needs to start.
You know what? Fair enough. I'm not gonna think about it too hard. This is the way the book was written, and I accept it. I will blindly accept it. It's fine.
We accept it and move on.
Yeah. Okay. So Bella, Edward, and Emmett and Alice, is that right? They get in the car and they start driving away, and they're arguing about what they should do with Bella because
Yeah.
they're like, "You're gonna get tracked down no matter where you go."
Oh yeah, Edward's like, he's a tracker. Like I saw inside his mind. He will never stop once he starts. Oh, and they're talking about James. James is the one, not even Laurent. Although at this point they still think Laurent is the leader of the pack. Although that kind of like comes back around, I think, a little bit later.
Yeah. So are they all trackers or is it just James?
I think it's just James. Like he's the
Okay.
one. He's obsessed with her. And then like we're gonna have a conversation with Laurent in a little while, and he's gonna like explain that he like doesn't really have any control over him. So
Okay, gotcha. Okay. Well, I guess we shall see where that goes. But yeah, they're freaking out because of that. They're just like, no matter where you go, he's gonna find you. Like your dad's not safe.
nobody's thinking about Charlie except for Bella. Like Bella's like, what about my dad? Like, what about Charlie? And everybody's like, I think Alice eventually does say that like they know that they can't leave him. Like he's definitely
Yeah.
or two, but they weren't thinking about Charlie to start with. Like,
No, but in the end, like after Bella's talking about like after she leaves, it was, I guess it was Alice, I can't remember who it was that brought it up, but they were like, yeah, if your dad's like just there, he's not safe either.
yeah,
So Edward ends up suggesting, no, Bella suggests that she goes to Phoenix, and then Edward's like, okay, we're gonna go to your house and pack. You got 15 minutes to pack. Tell your dad you're leaving. I don't care what you say.
tell your dad anything. Tell your dad anything just to get out. Just like in and out. 15 minutes. Pack your bag. And that's like, I fucking hate this upcoming scene. Like, that's like the shittiest thing to do to Charlie. Like, it's just honestly beyond the pale. Charlie, like, justice for fucking Charlie. This whole book.
Yeah. Yeah, Charlie did nothing wrong.
No, and Bella's just gonna be. Oh my god, it really bothers me, but it hasn't happened yet, so I'll shut up.
Yeah, we will wait. I just want to say too that like he makes it sound so serious, like she only has 15 minutes to pack, but she brought like one or two backpacks with her when she got there. I remember pointing out in the beginning, I was like, she brought nothing with her, and you were like, yeah, Bella is just like a saint. So like, why would she bother people with her things? Like,
She's unmaterialistic. She
yeah.
has gone shopping one time since then, but she can't. Like, she doesn't have that much.
She's lived there like 5 weeks at this point. How much stuff could she have possibly accumulated by now? Like, it's gonna, like, she'll probably pack and have like 8 minutes to spare.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, you're 8 minutes to break Charlie's heart.
yeah, that's plenty of time.
Chapter 19.
Goodbyes. They get to Bella's house and Charlie's home, and she's like super sad because she's gonna have to just like basically go in and lie to Charlie about everything.
Yeah, this is the part I was talking about. I fucking hate this part. Like, this part is just awful. Like, Bella is just gonna have to. She knows that he's like not gonna let her go unless she like destroys him emotionally. Fucking Bella sucks.
I know that this is like way more dramatic to do it the way they did it, but I wonder why she didn't just sneak out or something.
She could have just left. Yeah, she didn't have honestly, like, because she was like, Charlie will be panicked. Charlie will call the FBI. But like, realistically, she could have just left
Couldn't she have been like, I'm sleeping over at Jessica's and just like left?
and then just like left and then like called him the next day and been like, I actually like left because I just like can't fucking like this is way fucking worse, honestly.
They had to make it dramatic though,
I guess.
which I guess I understand, but
I just hate it. Like Charlie did nothing.
yeah, poor Charlie. She goes inside, and as she's going inside, she's like screaming at Edward and is like, don't.
He's like, leave me alone, Edward. Starts fucking cry screaming and running up the stairs.
And so Charlie starts freaking out. He's like, "What's wrong? Did he break up with you? What did he do to you?" And she just is being vague and says like, "No, I broke up with him. I got to get out of here."
Like, it's my fault. Like, she, like, very pointedly is like, "He didn't do anything to me," because, like, obviously she wants to be able to come back after she just, like, destroys Charlie's life. And Charlie's just, like, trying to be a good dad. He's, like, asking her questions through the door. He's, like, very concerned, like, "Did he do something to you? Like, what happened?" And then she's just like, "No, I broke up with him. I can't stand it here anymore. Like, I have to go." And he, like, tries to, he, like, grabs her and he's, like, not gonna let her leave because he's, like, a good father.
Yeah, he's not just gonna let like his underage daughter just fucking book it out of nowhere.
In the middle of the night. Justice for Charlie. Charlie did nothing wrong. Oh
He's
my
doing
god.
his best. He says to wait because he's like, "Your mom might be coming back to Arizona because like things aren't working out in Florida." And she actually has a moment where she's like, "Wait, what?" And kind of stops and like thinks about what he said. But then she's like, "No, Fork sucks. Like, I can't stay here any longer."
She literally uses the words that her mother used when she left him. Like, it's so fucking shitty the way she did it. I'm just like, just leave. Just leave. Just honestly, don't tell him anything. Just go and then call him and be like,
What's the point of this? So Charlie wouldn't follow her or like try to look for her?
yeah, I think that was kind of like the point, but like I still hold that it was unnecessary to like do it this.
I think this would do the opposite. I feel like if I did this to my mom, the last thing she would do would be like, "Oh, well, I guess
Yeah,
I'm just not going to talk to her." I think she would be like, "Well, that was insane. My daughter has lost her fucking mind. Let me make sure she's not like having a mental breakdown or something."
having a mental breakdown. Exactly. Oh my gosh.
And then especially Charlie, like, I feel like this is not, I don't know. This is like how you break up with your friend, not your dad.
Not your fucking father. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Justice for Charlie.
Yeah.
But whatever.
So anyway, she packs her duffel bag with all of her belongings because that's about how much space they take up. Um, and then Bella leaves and they're driving away, and Edward's like, "Pull over," and she's like, "It's fine, I can drive." And then he somehow like just like takes her out of the driver's seat and like moves her and gets into the driver's seat while the car is moving, and it specifically says that the car does not swerve. I was just like, okay, all right, that's a thing that happened. He just like fucking picks her up and is like, "Nope, move."
Just like, yeah. And it says specifically that like the car does not swerve. I don't
Yep.
know. I'm like, wow, with that one.
Cause
That one.
he just has those magic fingies. So then Edward's just reassuring Bella that Charlie's gonna forgive her, and he's like, "I'm gonna see you in a few days, like it's gonna be fine." And he's like, "This is all my fault," which we were just saying this was his fault. So we were both just
Definitely,
screaming, like, "Yes, Edward, this is your fault, actually."
definitely your fault. Definitely Edward's fault.
Edward does casually say that Bella smells appallingly luscious, which phenomenal. Love that.
Phenomenal. Like, put it on a t-shirt. Like, I'm sure someone has.
Then they get to the Cullens' house, and who runs Bella inside like a football?
Emmett tucks her under his arm and runs her inside like a football. And I don't know, that just made me laugh really
Made me
hard.
laugh too. It's a good mental image. So they get to the Cullens' house.
I do have a point. Like, this is where the plot. This is like I was saying. This is the plot. Like, this is when stuff is actually fun and shit is happening. Like, it's been chapters and chapters of like, I, like them mooning at each other, basically.
And like her just trying to shake Mike and be like, "Are you sure you don't want to date Jessica instead?"
Yeah, but like it's been very boring up to now, and now it's getting good.
Everything is happening now. So once they're inside, Laurent is there and he's like, "Nothing can stop James. There's nothing anybody can do." And the Cullens are like, "Well, we'll stop him. And nothing is gonna, get in the way of us protecting Bella." And Laurent,
James is kind of, or oh, excuse me, Laurent. Yes, Laurent is kind of like a little bit like intrigued by their lifestyle, which I thought was interesting. So he says he's going to go up north and like room with the other vegetarian vampires.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Well, he's probably trying to be a good guy anyway if he's there. Like, he's obviously not as evil.
Yeah, I like Laurent. Like, Laurent's cool.
And he basically reveals that James is the leader and that Laurent being, or like the image that he's the leader is just posturing. And he's like, I'm sorry about all the shit. And Carlisle is like, get the hell out of here. He's like, okay.
Well, because he's a saint, is like, go in peace.
Yeah.
Which I thought was funny.
And then all the Cullens basically agree to hunt James after Bella is safe wherever she's going. And Rosalie's like, this is crap. This is not my problem. I don't want to deal with this. But they're like, too bad.
Yes, she like refuses. Yeah, she refuses to trade clothes with Bella. She's like, this is not my fucking shit. You decided to like put us all in danger. Like, I don't have to help with this part. So Esme switches clothes with Bella instead.
And I think they like rush her upstairs. Like they're just like swooping her up, like zipping her all over the house, like, you know, moving her in the car, moving her into the house, moving her around the house like she's a piece of furniture or something.
It'd be so fun.
So then they hand out cell phones, which you pointed out is interesting.
It's just one of those things that's like a stark reminder that this is 2005 that we're dealing with. Like
Yeah, like they didn't have cell phones until this moment when they passed them out to everyone.
Yeah. I mean, it's just a funny image to me.
It is. I didn't get my first cell phone till 2006, I think, or maybe even 2007. Yeah. I was kind of late to the cell phone party though, but still. I'm just saying it was like reasonable of me to like not have a cell phone in like this time period. And she has been calling Jessica from like her house phone, which I didn't really register until you pointed this out.
Just a different era. It's just funny to look back on.
Yep. So imagine them all using flip phones.
Little tiny flip phones. That's a fun image.
Little razor flip phones. So then they divvy up the cars and decide who's driving where. And Jasper decides to be nice to Bella and is like, "It's okay. You're worth the trouble."
It's like, I feel what you're feeling, and you're wrong. Like, you are worth the trouble. And Bella's like, wow.
Yeah, and then Alice comes up to Bella and asks if she can carry her. And Bella's like, "You're the first one to ask." And I just want to say that Alice is our consent is sexy queen. She actually asked Bella if she could like pick her up and move her around.
And Bella, like, oh my God, I love Alice and Bella forever.
This is the ship. I don't know how I like just kind of looked over it the first time we read this, or maybe I just forgot. I am like so here for Alice and Bella. I love them together. Like
regardless, they have such a cute relationship.
If anyone knows of fan fiction where like Alice steals Bella from Edward, send it to me. I want to read it.
Yeah.
There has to be one out there.
No, I'm absolutely sure.
They're so cute together. I love it.
Chapter 20.
Impatience. Bella wakes up in a hotel, and at first she doesn't remember how she got there, but then it kind of starts slowly coming back to her that they made the trip to Phoenix. Did they run?
I don't think they ran part of the way. They were just been driving in Alice's. I think Jasper's driving. Is Jasper driving because Bella's like cuddling with Alice in the back seat?
Oh yeah. She like one of the first things that Bella remembers is that she was leaning up against Alice in the car and that Alice didn't seem like she minded. So that's just interesting to me.
Interesting.
Very
and
interesting.
Maybe a little bit of evidence for our ship.
Yep. This is they're just fueling us at this point.
I'm definitely joining the Alice x Bella fandom.
So they make the trip quickly, and then Bella is like looking out her window, looking at the landscape. She realizes she's still wearing, was it Esme? She's wearing Esme's clothes.
Yeah, she's wearing Esme's clothes, and she also realizes that they made like a 3-day journey in one day.
Yeah, so she goes to change, and then as she's looking for clothes, Alice knocks on the door and is like, "I ordered you food because I'm a thoughtful person who cares about your well-being."
Yeah, they order Bella food, and Alice is just so cute.
Mhm,
She's just
mhm. I just thought it was nice that Alice was like, "I got you food because I heard you need to eat all the time."
yeah.
So then Bella goes to their room, to Alice and Jasper's room to eat.
Bella asks Alice if she's thirsty, and Alice responds, "Nothing unmanageable." Like, I love that Alice is like the realist about the vampirism. Like, she's by
But she's like chill about it too. She's not like, "I'm suffering." She's just like, "This is fine." Like, I feel like Edward's like, "We're tortured and dangerous," and Alice is just like, "Meh, it's whatever."
it's whatever. I exist. I love
Yeah,
Alice.
me too. Bella kind of picks at the food and is like, "Did Edward call?" And they're like, "No." And they're like, "Edward's fine. Don't worry about it."
It's probably good that they didn't call. It means that the tracker is close enough to hear them, but like he's not.
And Alice is just like, "Don't worry about him." Like, they're trying to, keep James busy, throw him off the trail. So if we haven't heard anything, like, that's good essentially. So then Bella does a whole lot of nothing all day. She just is losing her mind sitting in this hotel room.
Definitely another chapter where it's just like every minute of a very boring day. Like once again, I mean, it's like the plot got started and then it stopped really
I
quick.
feel like I feel like it's intentional in this chapter because it's called Impatience, and I think Stephanie's trying to have us feel like Bella's dread of like just having to sit there and do nothing.
Well, she did a really good job. Like this chapter is like really painful to get through.
Yeah, it's like that's not a compliment almost.
I mean, just like, I think maybe you're right and it was intentional, which like that's clever in its way, but just like
Doesn't mean it was well done necessarily just because it was intentional.
get to the shit. Like just tell me. Like I've waited this whole book for things to happen.
I guess, but see that maybe that's the point. Maybe you're supposed to feel like that.
It's cheap writing tricks, if you ask me. But whatever. I'm not a professional author. They do not pay me millions of dollars for my writing. So what do I know?
So then Alice is also explaining to Bella like that they're not in danger because like they have all these different powers between all of them, and they're like, we can take pretty much anything. And she does end up explaining to Bella how turning works, which is interesting because Edward wouldn't tell her. He was just like, don't worry about it.
Yeah, Alice is the realist. Alice is the realist for sure. And then also they like I think at the beginning of this conversation, like Bella's like she's like, I suddenly realized that we were friends. Alice must have always known that we would be. That
Oh, yeah.
was cute.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like I like that Alice actually is like, I'm just gonna be honest with you and tell you things instead of acting like weird and cryptic and like a freak the whole time.
Yeah, trying to protect her from shit she doesn't need to be protected from. Like I said, Alice is the realist.
So then Alice ends up seeing that James changed his plan to go to a room that has all these mirrors in it, and they don't know where that is. And then between that, Edward calls, and Bella's like, "Yeah, I could talk to Edward." And Edward's like, "We lost James," and she's like, "I know, because Alice just told us." In her vision. So then Alice starts sketching the room, and Bella's like, "Oh, that's a dance studio," and just very conveniently is like, "Oh, that must be the dance studio I went to as a kid. That is in Phoenix."
Yeah, and also, like, I would like to point out that, like, Alice says in when she's having the vision and Jasper is, like, questioning her about what's going on, Alice says that that she sees James operating a VCR. So she, right there, told Bella, oh, we are not there yet, but, um that's a like Alice figured it out. Like if she had just like listened to what Alice said, none of the next bit of this would have happened.
Well, we should all just listen to Alice. That's what we
Always.
learned. Always. Bella calls her mom because she's hoping that she can like stop her mom from coming to Phoenix, and she doesn't answer, so she leaves her mom a voicemail. And then she basically just watches TV till she falls asleep, and she's like, "Wow, being immortal must just grant you infinite patience cuz like I'm losing my mind in this hotel room." And then she falls asleep.
And they're just like chill. They're just like staring at the wall.
Yeah, and then after she falls asleep, Alice carries hers to bed, so we get a little bit more ship fuel right at the end there.
Oh, just a cute little moment.
Yeah.
Alice and Bella forever.
We ship it. This whole chapter, if it gave us nothing, it gave us ship fuel.
A little bit of fan service for the girlies. Chapter 21.
Phone call. So the chapter opens with Bella waking up. She wakes up and sees Alice like drawing, and she realizes that Alice is drawing her mom's family room.
Oh yeah, that part's scary. Like that honestly would freak me out.
Yeah, and Bella, looking at the drawing, like starts telling Alice like where the phone goes. So she recognizes it immediately because Alice saw that something brought James back to that room. Then she finds out that Edward's coming to get her and is flying into the airport. And Bella's kind of freaking out because she's like, you can't protect every single person that I care about forever.
Yeah, she's like, Alice, you can't just like stay here and protect my mom while Edward comes to take me away. Like, you can't protect everyone I know forever. This is what he's doing. He's trying to get me to come to him, which is crazy because like she knows what he's doing, and yet she still falls for it.
So Bella looks at the wall for 3 hours, and then her mom calls, and she answers and then starts hearing this. She calls it a pleasant voice.
But she answers and it's like her mom's voice saying, "Hello, Bella?" And she has the thought, like, it's the voice that I heard of my mother use when I was a child and I was being clumsy. Like, she like is registering. But also a plot hole, actually. Like when Alice answered the phone to hand it to Bella, what did her Renee sound like? Like like how did he get Bella on the phone?
I don't know. I'm not sure, actually. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, plot hole. Because, like, we're gonna find out that, I mean, like, this is in the next chapter. We're gonna find out that it's a recording of Renee that he has from being in the house. That's like a child, like a home video from when Bella was a child.
Okay, so that's why the VCR, right?
That's why the VCR, exactly. And so, how did he use that recording to get Alice to put Bella on the phone? Like, because it's like what we're gonna find out is it's like this clip of Bella like doing something clumsy as a child, and her mom is like panicking, like Bella.
Oh,
Like,
I see. Interesting. Well, that's kind of clever.
yeah, I mean it is clever on his part. It was like a good ruse, but I'm just wondering how he used that to get Alice to hand Bella the phone.
Yeah, I'm just assuming that like if Alice answered and heard Bella's mom going like, "Bella, are you okay?" Like Alice would just be like, "Oh, it's your mom. She's freaking out."
Okay, that's a good point. I would like, I don't know. I just feel like Alice would be like, "This is really weird sounding."
Yeah, because
call."
because we're
Like,
saying that is ignoring the fact that she's more perceptive than the average person and like literally has powers about this, where she can like see things.
yeah,
So let's just accept it as part of the plot, and yeah,
and move on.
as we must do at various times in this book.
Agreed.
So as Bella's on the phone, she keeps calling it like the pleasant voice is telling her, get away from your friends. Like, can you get away from them and like go to your mom's house? Like, could you do it if your mom's life depended on it? So Bella's like, okay, I guess I don't have a choice.
Yeah, he keeps telling her what to say. He's like, "Say, all right, mom," or say, oh, I don't remember like the exact words that he used, but he keeps getting her to like talk like she's on the phone with her mother this whole time. And another plot hole is that he definitely started talking to her while she was in the room with Allison, who would have heard the voice on the phone. Like they have superhuman
That
hearing.
is true. Yeah, because it doesn't say that he's using the recording past that, like after Bella's on the phone.
Exactly. Yeah, it's definitely his voice on the phone, and she would have heard it for sure. So another plot hole. This whole thing is a bit like full of random
Yeah, it
hazardous
helps
plot
if you
holes.
just turn your brain off and you don't think about it. And you just go, you know what? Sounds good, Stephanie. That's what
Okay,
happened.
sounds excellent. Yeah, that's fair. I've never been very good
Oh,
at that.
I'm great at turning my brain off. Okay. So basically he gets Bella to agree to all this. She's thinking, I'm familiar with the airport. Maybe that's where I can get away from Alice and Jasper. And I think you said, because I forgot that Jasper went to like, figure out where they're gonna go next.
Yeah, I think he went to go get them, like, plane tickets or, like, different hotel accommodations, like, he went to go arrange their
Yeah, the
travel
important
plan.
part is that Jasper's not here, and Bella's like, if he was here, there's no way I'd be able to hide how I'm feeling from him. So the only reason that this works is because Jasper's not here. And Bella just kind of
Yeah,
says, like, I told my mom everything is okay, but not to come here.
yeah, yeah, and Alice, like, it only also works with Alice, like, do her powers just, like, must be on the short circuit or something.
She was drawing this whole time, so maybe she just like wasn't paying attention. How many visions can she see at once?
That is a very fair point. Let's not knock Alice's powers. Alice is the best one of everyone.
Then Bella asks Alice if she writes her mom a letter if Alice can give it to her, and Alice says yes, and then Bella starts writing a letter to Edward about how she's sorry and
She doesn't want anybody to get hurt because of her. Like, basically just, like, being a drama queen about it. Like, it's very dramatic. I mean, like, I guess she thinks she's going to die, but also it's still
yeah,
dramatic.
so she has acknowledged at this point, like, if I go to the mirror room, I'm going there to die. And she just basically thinks that that's what she has to do to protect everyone. I think at this point, she's just like, if they get me, they'll stop, like, endangering my family. So I gotta do it.
Yeah. This is when she tells Alice, like, do you think it's only my human family that I'm worried about? Like, she's, like, incredibly worried
Yeah,
about the Cullens, which is very
yeah.
sweet.
Worried about her girlfriend, Alice. I'm
Yes.
not letting it go.
Never. It will never die. Chapter 22.
Hide and seek. So the chapter opens, and Bella is just worrying if Alice is going to realize what just happened. And Alice is acting kind of strange. So Bella asks her what she saw, and Alice is just vague and is like, oh, just the same thing as before, basically.
Yeah, Jasper comes back in too, and Jasper asks Alice what she saw, and she just says Bella, but she doesn't want to tell Bella what she saw.
Yeah, obviously, because she doesn't want Bella to realize what's going on. So then Bella asks Alice how her powers work, and Alice explains to her that she can only see the course that someone is on while they're on it. So she says things are easier to predict, like the weather, but then like people can change their minds about things essentially.
Right, and then Bella asks that's why you didn't see James in Phoenix until he decided to come here.
Yes, yes, exactly. So then they make it to the airport, and Bella gives the letter that she wrote to Edward to Alice. And then Bella is thinking of ways to get away from them because,
She's gonna go sacrifice herself to James.
yep,
Obviously.
yep, yep, that is still her plan. So she ends up just saying, I want to go get some food. And Alice is like, all right, I'm going to come with you. And Bella says, no, I want Jasper to come with me.
She makes the excuse that, like, she's feeling really, like, crazy and she wants Jasper to, like, use his powers to calm her down, but she actually just needs to be able to go by herself to the women's restroom.
Yup. Why didn't they both go with her? Did Alice have to like wait for did one of them have to stay behind to wait for Edward?
To wait for the plane, I think that's what they want us to think, but also that's dumb. I'm sure Edward can find them, like, even if they're not right there.
Yeah, how long does taking not taking, but how long does getting food take?
Yeah, just like a few minutes, and I think that they only have like 20 minutes until the plane, but like they should be able to get
Like they
food.
could have met up with him after. Alice didn't
Yeah,
have to stay behind. Especially because she's obviously like kind of knows something. I don't know. This whole airport thing was a little fucky.
it was. Honestly, the whole airport thing, like, there's no possible way in hell that this plan actually would have worked, and I don't know, like the whole thing, like they would catch her in a second. Like, there's no way she could get away from them in like an airport just because like the ladies' room had two doors.
Yeah, yeah, like, that's literally how they did it. I wanna, like, look up, like, the layout of the Phoenix airport and see if the bathroom is based in reality because 'cause I'm an insane person.
Well, honestly, like, I think we both were like, how the heck is this place even laid out? Like, it's so weird.
Yeah, I just wanna know if is this, like, for fiction? Like, I can suspend my disbelief about the vampires, but the bathroom having, like, multiple entrances to, like, different parts of the airport is, like, too far for me.
Yeah.
I can't suspend my disbelief that far, but I'm gonna have to because that's what the book does. So anyway,
So she basically just runs. She just runs pell-mell out of the airport. Like, she runs out
yep.
the bathroom door, and she just, like, catches an elevator, and, like, the whole thing goes down and gets the hell out. There's no way that this would have worked because vampires they could just follow her scent, but whatever. Whatever.
I don't know. I guess the theory is that Jasper will wait for her for the duration of like an average poo, and
Or an
then
average pee.
yeah, before he realizes that she's actually gone. So then she's already in the taxi at that point and getting the hell out of there.
Yeah, she asked the taxi driver to take her to Scottsdale.
Yep.
Which, okay, I am not super familiar with Arizona, but just like I thought I've heard that Scottsdale is a very like ritzy area to live in, and like how did Renee afford this house before?
Yeah, I have no clue. I don't know anything about these places.
Apparently, it's like Bella's childhood home, and if it's in Scottsdale, I mean, I don't know. It could be in like a less nice area of Scottsdale. I shouldn't pretend that I know things about real estate in Arizona.
That is okay. I know absolutely nothing about it. So regardless of all of that, she goes and she makes it to the room that Alice saw in her vision and sees a home movie playing of her mom like being worried about her. I don't remember what was in the home movie. Do you remember?
It was like at a beach in California on like a family vacation when Bella had almost fallen into the ocean, like off a pier. And so the recording on the home movie has Bella's mom being like, Bella, like, are you okay? It's basically like exactly the same thing that she's the only thing that Bella has heard her say because obviously James has been using the recording of the home movie
Yeah.
to like make Bella think that her mom is there. But she realizes once she sees the movie playing that like she has like a moment where she's like, my mom is safe. She never got my messages. She's still in Florida. Like, thank God.
Yeah, Bella like doesn't even care about herself because as we have said many times, she's a saint. So she's just happy that her mom isn't in danger. And then James comes out of the shadows and is like, what do you mean you're not sad?
I tricked you. Like, you're not upset that I tricked you. Like, he's very put out about her not being mad.
Yeah, this whole thing was disappointing for him because he's like, oh, I'm pissed it was so easy to catch you. I'm pissed that you're not like scared. And then he asks if Edward's gonna avenge her, and she's like, I don't think so.
I don't think that I wrote him a letter. Like, I told him not to, which is stupid and naive.
When has
But
Edward
like,
ever listened to
to
Bella?
her ever.
Like even one time, when has he listened to her? Like what makes her think this is gonna be the time that changes his mind? And he's like, okay, Bella, I'll listen to you this time. James has like a video camera and it's like implied that he's gonna record him killing her because then he can show it to Edward, right?
Yeah. He's like, do you mind if I like write him a letter as well? And then he like goes and turns on the video camera and he's like, I think that it would be disappointing if your boyfriend didn't come and try and like fuck me up after I do this to you. So I'm gonna make it hard for him not to by like videoing me torturing and killing and eating you.
Because James is actually pretty evil. This whole thing was actually a little evil at the end. So then James reveals also that he at one point had tried to kill Alice and she got away.
Yeah, he's like the one victim that ever escaped me was this girl. I forget what exactly he called her sire, but he didn't think very highly of the vampire that changed her. And he was like, so I like got him and I killed him, but before I managed to kill him, he turned his little friend, like keeping her from me, and it made me really mad. And then like it's Alice. It like
Mhm.
literally that's it happened to Alice. Like they took her out of the asylum and made her a vampire and she woke up like she had never seen the sun before.
And so her first time seeing the sun, she was sparkling.
Yes.
I'm sorry that that was what I got out of that bit of information. But that's kind of cool of Alice that she's like, I'm going to help Bella, even though I don't know, that's probably traumatic for her.
I don't think she remembers. I think
Oh,
she
okay.
genuinely has no idea.
Okay, okay. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, because James says that they're going to it's like actually kind of like a gift that he's giving to like their strange coven of vampires. Because they're gonna find out a little bit about Alice, but then Edward hopefully is gonna come and try and kill him. But he thinks that he's gonna kill Edward because James is like, I am the deadliest creature.
I'm the evilest and strongest vampire ever. So then Bella tries to run away and she knows it's like useless. And then obviously James catches her very easily and then basically beats the shit out of her. He slams her against the wall multiple times and like there's glass getting like cutting her all up.
Yeah, shatters the mirrors in the dance studio and like stomps on her leg. Like,
Yeah, holy shit. I was like, God damn, you didn't have to do all that.
I will say, like, I loved this scene. I actually like really like when Stephanie Meyer like writes a little more like horror slanted stuff instead of just like the incessant stupid teenage
Maybe
romance
that was her calling.
of like the rest of the book. I honestly think it was because I mean, we'll get into it when we get like further into the series, but like there's some like really good stuff in here, like that's definitely like darker that is well written. Like I really liked this scene. Like I thought it was very effective.
Yeah, I liked it too. Like I was actually like, wow, he's like really going for it, which just based on the rest of the book, you probably wouldn't have expected it, but it's just a very like short little bit at the end.
Yeah. It's like a nanosecond of like action.
Yeah. Yep. Then Bella's just basically bleeding on the floor and James lunges at her and she's just hoping that she dies quickly at this point.
Yeah. He kind of fucked up by cutting her open accidentally by slamming her into the mirrors because when her blood is spilled, he kind of like loses it and it just gets really thirsty and she's like, "Well, hopefully now it will be fast."
God, so depressing. So hopefully hopefully someone shows up to save her. But we're not gonna have any more books.
Chapter 23.
The angel. Bella's dreaming and she's feeling like she's underwater and hearing a snarl and she sees an angel that's begging her just like, Bella, please, please, Bella.
The angel is very upset.
Yeah, it's like crying like tearless sobs or something like that.
Yeah, and she's hearing like this huge ruckus in the background, like snarling and like a high keening that gets cut off. So it's basically like Emmett and like everybody else. I don't know who all was like taking Jasper out yet, but
Hey, editing Giu here. Nichole wanted me to mention that she definitely meant James here, not Jasper. Back to the podcast.
they are just fucking kicking his ass. Basically, they rip him off of her, and they're killing him.
So then she starts hearing the voices of Carlisle, Alice, and Edward. And Edward's just saying, you're going to be fine. I love you.
Oh, and Carlisle is like assessing her wounds. Like, good thing that we have a doctor on board for this.
We do. We do. That is quite convenient. And I'm glad Carlisle is being useful. We love Carlisle.
Carlisle is always useful.
Bella is feeling a sensation in her, what was it? Where'd she get bit? Her arm
In her
or something?
hand.
Oh, her hand.
Her hand. Yeah, the palm of her hand. And she's like, my hand is burning. And she's like trying to like tell Edward and Carlisle, but like she's like too unconscious. And she's like, and I can't like make my words come out. Why don't they see the fire and put it out? Like she doesn't know what's happened.
So they eventually do see that she's bitten though, and they're like, Edward, you have to do it.
You have to suck the poison out. Suck the venom out like it's a snake bite and it's the 1800s. Like, I just fucking send me. Like, I cannot. The fucking suck the vampire venom out like it's a goddamn snake bite just has me really really tickled.
Okay, I'm like so far removed from like anything to do with vampires. Do vampires typically have poison?
It kind of depends, like, on the vampire. A lot of times, to become a vampire, it's not like a venom situation. It's like a they take blood from you and then you take blood from them
Okay.
is the more traditional way. Like, and whether, like, they rip open a vein and like feed you their blood or like, whatever, it's like you're supposed to kind of like drink their blood. I honestly like I feel like there are other vampires that it's more of a venom situation, but that's kind of like a movie trope.
Probably easier to put in a movie because then they just get bit and then that's it.
And then that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, I had no clue. I don't know how these things work.
I said it does kind of vary. It varies on like the exact vampire lore you're talking about and what the author has decided to do because there's a lot of different things that you can do with that, but
Okay. So these are just snaky vampires.
snaky vampire. Exactly.
Okay. All right. I understand now. So Edward does end up sucking the blood out. Like it's a snake, well, not the blood, but the poison, like it's a snake move.
Yeah, yeah. And she's like, she was like, Bella's like, I could feel the fire retreating, like to like a dull point. And that's fine. And then I think Edward like says something in a minute where I sucked all the venom out. Her blood tastes clean and I can taste the morphine.
I did think that was interesting, an interesting thing to include. I guess it's kind of clever though to be like, "Oh, I can tell the drugs are flowing through her veins." Could you like okay, so if like say you wanted to like do some morphine about something, could like Edward suck the blood out of her and like get like does that would that affect a vampire or
I
no?
feel like, okay, my personal opinion is yes. And the reason that I think that is because I really like the way that Buffy the Vampire Slayer does their vampires. And in one of my favorite episodes, one of my favorite vampires, Spike, says that he fed on a flower child at Woodstock and then spent the next 12 hours watching his hand in front of his face.
I kind of love that though.
I love that so intensely, actually, that that's my personal canon. So that's what I believe that Edward, if he tasted the morphine, just got a little tiny buzz off that one.
I just feel like you could do a lot with that with like kink
Writing.
related writing things.
Oh, that too. Holy shit, I didn't even think about. Oh my god. Wow, ideas. Ideas.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you,
I know
Giu.
that that will not necessarily be included in this book, but that's where my brain is going. So, yeah, the fire sensation subsides from Bella, and she's feeling better, but she's just completely worn out. So they're like, "We gotta go," and she's like, "No, I'm gonna go to sleep. I'm gonna take a little nap right here." So Edward picks her up and carries her off.
He's just like, "Sleep now, Bella." Oh, she says, like, at one point, she's like, "Do I smell gasoline?" And then they're like, "Yeah, let's get out of here." And
Yeah,
I
we
think
gotta leave.
that was the connection that I made earlier because that's what they're using to like finally kill James is they're pouring gasoline on his ripped up corpse and then setting it on fire.
My God, that's kind of evil too. I mean, he's like evil, so they got to get rid of him. But that's like a crazy thing to do, right?
That is how you have to kill vampires in this universe, though.
Okay, well, I mean, you got to do what you got to do. But I'm just like, wow, they're having our main characters set a corpse on fire. That's pretty interesting.
Set like a ripped up corpse on fire in like a fucking ballet studio that's like only not open because they're on spring break. But with that, they walk out of the ballet studio, and that is the end of this chapter. Chapter 24.
An impasse. Bella wakes up in a hospital bed and starts trying to get up, and she sees Edward, who has been waiting there for her.
Oh, I was just gonna say that she's like fucking completely. She notices that she's all plugged into shit. There's a what's that thing that goes in your nose?
Oh, the nasal cannula?
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
got one of those and all these bandages and everything. But then, like, she looks up and like Edward's there.
Yep. And she's trying to take all the shit off, and Edward's like, nope, and like pushes her back down. He's like, you're not getting up. Edward reveals to her that the excuse that they're using is that she fell down 2 flights of stairs and through a window.
Oh my god, so believable.
I kind of like that Bella's clumsiness like came into play here.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Like, the clumsiness is like a bit over the top, but I guess they needed it for this to work out.
Yep, it all came to a head right here.
I think Edward says that like Alice had a bunch of fun like fabricating evidence and that Bella could sue the hotel if she wanted to.
Yeah, I think he actually says that she like had too much fun. She really went for it, and I just love the mental image of Alice fucking throwing rocks through a window
Just
gleefully.
like shattering a massive window and like just fucking making debris everywhere.
Yeah, those hotel windows are like thick too, so she like really has to be going for it.
I can't even like imagine that like anybody believes that because I don't think Bella would break through a window, but okay.
I trust in Alice's evidence fabricating abilities.
I do as well. I just don't think that Bella's big enough to break through a window on her own.
Probably not, especially like a hotel window at the bottom of a flight of stairs. Like that wouldn't be like your average home window where like you could just throw a rock at it and it would break immediately because that would be unsafe.
I guess it does explain the head trauma.
True.
So
True. Yeah, they had to explain all the cuts and everything, so she had to fall through the window as well. At some point, Bella mentions that she's scared of needles, and Edward's like, "So you're not afraid of like this scary vampire murdering you, but you're scared of needles."
a sadistic vampire coming to kill you. Why not? I'll go to meet him. But needles, like far be it.
In addition to the stairs excuse, Edward just says that he had come to Phoenix to talk some sense into her, and Bella agreed to meet him at the hotel that he was staying at, and then that's where she fell. So that is their thing that they're going to tell everybody and how this all happened.
Personally think that they're kind of glazing over the fucking like massive blow up that Bella had at Charlie.
Wait, what happened?
Well, we'll get to it, I guess, in a minute when she talks to her mom, but I feel like they're kind of glazing over the fucking like massive blow up and like really hurtful things she said to Charlie.
Oh, yeah, like before she left. Sorry, I thought like you were talking about something this chapter, and I was like, wait, I
No.
blacked out.
Yeah, no. Like the thing she said to Charlie when she was leaving, like that's not just a like, oh, whatever type of situation. That's like a really,
Yeah, totally.
really fucked up shit she said to him.
Yeah, I guess they're just like, oh, good, you're alive. Let's not think about that other stuff right now.
I guess so.
So then Bella's mom comes in and they're in Phoenix still, right? In the
Yeah,
hospital?
they're in Phoenix in the hospital. This is when they kind of have the conversation where like Renee's like, "Oh, Phil got hired with the Sun. I don't know
Mhm.
what. Oh, the Jacksonville Suns. It's the Jacksonville Suns. They're gonna go live in Jacksonville."
Is it not Phoenix? Because she was like, I could spend half my time.
No, they were talking about Bella moving to Florida, and she's like, "I'm gonna spend half of the away games with Phil and stay with you the other half." But like the whole plan was for Bella to like move to fucking Jacksonville, Florida, and as
Oh. You know what I'm thinking of? I think I'm thinking of the basketball team, the
the
Suns.
the
Like the
Phoenix
Phoenix
Suns.
Suns. That's what I was thinking of. But he doesn't play basketball. He
No,
plays
he
baseball.
baseball.
Okay, that's why I got confused.
Yeah, it's the Jacksonville Suns, the baseball team, and it's fucking Jacksonville. As a Florida native, just wow. That's all.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't love Jacksonville, but it's whatever. That's not the point.
That's not the point of this at all.
So Bella's mom is like just talking about how she can split her time between like being with Phil and being with Bella. And she's like, you can leave Forks. And Bella's like, I'm not leaving Forks. I have a boyfriend. And Bella's mom is like, what? You have a boyfriend?
Is it because of this boy? And Bella's like, he's part of it. And she's like, I have like friends, and like Charlie can't cook. Like I have to, like she didn't fucking rip his fucking heart out and stomp on it. Like, oh my god.
Well, maybe she'll be like, "Whoopsie, sorry, Dad," and he'll be like, "It's okay, I forgive you."
I guess, but man,
And I want to just note here that Bella's mom, it says that she uses a parental tone that Bella had used with her mom in the past about boys. So I'm like, this is probably like the first time Bella's mom ever even had a parenting thought in her head.
also it says actually in that same paragraph that Renee hadn't used her parental voice at Bella since she was 8.
Yeah. Like she literally just has not been trying to like parent Bella for the last like 8 years or something.
Like what, 8 to 17? That's 9.
Oh, 9. Okay. I thought she was 16 for some reason. And Bella's mom also brings up that someone burned the dance studio to the ground and is like, "Do you remember when you danced there?" Bella's like, "Yes, Mom, I remember."
I wonder who burned the studio down and also abandoned a stolen car in front of the studio. I wonder.
Yeah, they just casually are like, "Oh, yeah, and Edward stole a car, by the way." So Edward's surprised that Bella doesn't want to go to Florida. And she's like, "Well, I want to stay with you. You're the only thing in the whole world that I care about, that I would care about losing," which is just like blatantly untrue because she just risked her life to save her mom. So I'm like,
Yeah.
that you're just lying.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I get it, but they make Edward is like purposefully stupid about like he's like she wouldn't want to go live in Florida. Like, I don't know. They're just purposefully stupid about each other and annoys me. And then like also this, I hate Edward in this chapter. Like, just it's everything that I hate about Edward is in this chapter.
Yeah, okay. We're getting there. So Bella, okay, so a nurse comes in and she refuses medication, and then Bella is like, "Edwards, like, swear you won't leave me." And like, "Why did you stop me from turning?" And kind of reveals to Edward that Alice has kind of explained to her how turning works. And Edward seems upset about that. He's not
Really
thrilled
upset.
because Bella basically just wants to turn, and she's like, "This is like the only way we can be together." And he's like, "Well, I'm not doing that."
He's like, Alice wouldn't dare because she's like, I know other vampires other than you, because he's like literally like, I will not turn you. And like I actually fully agree with Bella this whole chapter. Like, it is so fucked on like such a psychological level that he's just like, well, like I get to be a vampire, but you don't. But like I am definitely one of those like goth kids that really, really wanted to be a vampire. So this would be like ultimate betrayal for me. I would move to Florida. Like if Edward was like, I absolutely refuse to turn you. Like, we can never be equals. Like, I'm going to be Superman forever and I'm just going to have to save you forever. Like, I would fully be like, okay, well, I'm going to move to Jacksonville, Florida.
I think that's fair. I also think it's fair that like Edward doesn't want to turn her, but it's inconsistent that he's like just doing the same thing he's been doing the whole book, where he's like doing one thing and saying another, because he's like, "Oh, I can't do that. We can't be together." But obviously he's going to like keep being with her. So he's just lying to her too.
Yeah, he's like, I'll stay as long as it makes you happy and as long as it's what's best for you. And like, even Bella in her like drugged up state after she takes the painkillers is like, it's not the same thing.
And she even says like, "Oh, well, I have to stay in Forks cuz like we can't move to Florida because you won't be able to come out except at night like a real
Ever.
vampire." And he's like, "Oh, I wouldn't move to Florida. I'd stay in Forks." So literally he like won't, I don't know. That upsets me that she's like, "I'm going to like change my life for you," but like he wouldn't do the same for her.
And the fact that he won't let her make that, like she has no autonomy in this whole thing. Like, I understand, from his point of view, she has her parents and things, obviously tying her to the human world. But it's a matter of personal autonomy, really. It's fucking sexist of Edward to be like, you're not allowed to be a vampire because I, as a man, have decided that you have to remain human.
Yeah, and speaking of autonomy, the part that pissed me off the most about this chapter, I've been containing this. It's so fucking disgusting to me that Edward, like, Bella at this point has already refused medication once. We mentioned that. So Edward calls the nurse and is like, we're ready for more pain meds. And the nurse comes in, says nothing to Bella. Bella also says nothing because she's like, oh, my boyfriend told me to take medication, and just lets the nurse give her pain medication. And like when he calls the nurse, Bella's looking at him like she's angry, like she doesn't want it. And so she just gives it to her anyway. And also, that's fucking illegal. Like, Edward can't decide for Bella. And then it's also just, I don't know, it's fucked up on another level of like, he's kind of like drugging her a little bit. I don't know. This whole thing was like really gross to me.
Just to make her shut up and to make her like stop trying to convince him to turn her, which is really like, she's right, is the only way conceivably for them to be together. And she realizes that Alice has seen her in the future as a vampire, and Edward's like, no, it can change, it doesn't have to be true, she also saw you dead, but you're not. But you have to let her make the choice. Like, she's a fucking adult human.
Or like with the medication, like her mom is there. Like, if anything, they'd have to ask her mom's permission for her to get
But she's
medication.
17.
Yeah, but like I don't know. If she came in, I don't know. I think if I was a nurse, I don't care what state this is in. I think it's the same everywhere. I don't think that Edward can tell a nurse she needs pain medication and the nurse can just give it to her. Like, I think if her mom wasn't there, maybe they could implied consent her and give her the medication, but her mom is there. Her mom just walked out of the room.
Yeah.
I don't know. Don't like quote me and be like, well, Giu said this thing. But I know that there's some fucky shit going on in here.
There's lots of fucky shit.
The whole thing is fucky. The whole book is fucky.
Edward, like, even when I read this literally in 8th grade, like as a child, I was like, Edward doesn't get to make that decision for Bella.
He
like,
literally just drugged her, basically. Like, granted, he wasn't the one holding the needle. He basically just forced her to take medication against her will, and that's just really, really icky to me.
Yeah. I think they do have Bella thank the nurse when she does it, but that's probably just because she's polite.
Yeah, like the nurse is just doing her job poorly, but the nurse thinks she's doing the thing she's supposed to be doing. Because, like, before the nurse came in and was like, oh, you don't have to be brave, it's okay. And Bella's like, no. So, I don't know. She probably thinks that Bella changed her mind and that Edward just called for her, but, like, Edward can't decide that for her, is the point.
Edward can't decide. Chapter is just full of Edward making decisions for Bella that he is not allowed to make.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Pretty much. With Bella falling into like a morphine stupor now, she's like, don't leave me, Edward. And he's like, I won't. And then the chapter ends. And that is all.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and she says she's betting on Alice as she falls asleep.
Oh, yes, that's important. I agree. I would never bet against Alice.
This could have been the point where, like, book 2, instead of it being a Jacob book, could have been an Alice book. We could have gotten an Alice book.
Epilogue.
An occasion. The chapter opens and Bella and Edward are dressed all fancy, and Bella has her cast on because she's not healed yet. And she's wearing this like frilly dress, and Edward's in a tuxedo.
Navy blue dress. Edward's in a tuxedo. Bella is like confused. Bella has no idea why they're dressed up. Bella like thinks maybe she's excited, like maybe it's some kind of occasion, but she's like, I didn't know what we were doing. She's very dim about it.
Yeah, especially because it is prom night. Like, hello? I don't know.
Yeah.
Seems pretty obvious. Like, we're getting dressed up on the night of prom. Wonder what we're doing.
Exactly.
They did mention that Alice picked Bella's dress and makeup, which is very cute. I love that for them.
Me too. Alice has a massive bathroom. Good for her.
And Charlie has been acting weird about the Cullens because he like thinks it was Edward's fault that she had an outburst, and he's like making all these rules for her now.
But at the same time, he's like incredibly grateful to Carlisle. So he's like having conflicting feelings, I guess, about the whole Cullen family in general. because like he's all mad at Edward about Bella running away, but like if Carlisle hadn't been there, she definitely would have died when she fell down 2 flights of stairs and through a window, supposedly.
Yeah, so he's not sure how to feel, and I guess that means that they never cleared up anything. They're just letting Charlie go on believing that was real. Bella's outburst. They're like they never clarified what happened there.
Yeah, poor Charlie.
Yeah, he's just living in an alternate universe, unbeknownst to him. So they're getting ready, and Tyler shows up at Bella's house, and Edward's like, Bella is busy forever, and slams the door in his face, basically.
And he hangs up the phone because Charlie calls him. Like, and Edward's like, "Can I talk to Tyler on the phone?" He was surprised that Tyler like showed up at the Swan's house apparently, and then like asked Charlie to like put him on the phone with Tyler and was like,
Yeah.
"Bella will be busy tonight and all night in the future, as long as I have something to say about it." And he like is kind of threatening to Tyler. Tyler does suck. Don't blame him for that.
He does. I don't even remember like them agreeing to go to prom together.
It was literally like when he asked her to that dance at the beginning of the book, or like near the beginning of the book, when he asked her to the dance through the car window, and she's like, "I'm going out of town that day, blah blah blah," and he's like, well, we still have prom."
But did she agree though, or did he just
No.
assume?
Literally, he just has assumed this whole time that was him asking her to prom, and then he showed up at her house to take her to
my
prom.
God.
Yeah, it's
That's
super
so-
fucking crazy.
That's cringe. Holy shit.
It's very
So I was
cringe.
like, I do not remember her ever agreeing to go to the dance. She was very like, I'm busy, I'm not going. So
Yeah.
oh my God. All right. Well, I kind of feel like Tyler deserves that a little bit for just assuming that she'll go.
I agree.
So they go to the prom and they show up, and Bella says it looks like a horror movie because like all the decorations are really tacky and stuff. And they dance.
Agree there, Bella. That's so funny. I also think prom is a horror show. I only went to one prom. It was terrible.
I went to 2 proms and it was fine, but I went with my friends. I didn't like do the whole like, oh my God, a guy asked me to prom thing.
Smart. I went with a friend and it was stupid.
I guess it works out because then you don't look back and go like, ew, that guy.
Yeah, exactly.
So they're dancing and Jacob's there and he sees Bella and Edward dancing and he's looking uncomfortable, but then he asks if he could dance with Bella. So they dance.
And Bella's like, "What are you doing here? You don't go to this school." And he's like, "Would you believe that Billy paid me $20 to crash your prom?"
And Bella's just like, yeah, I believe it.
Yeah, she's like, "Just give me the message. Tell me what Billy wants me to hear." And Billy apparently wants Bella to break up with her boyfriend. And
We already knew that, and Bella already told him to fuck off. So
yeah. And then also, I think Jacob, what else does he say? He's like, "We'll be watching." Like, will being the council of elders of the tribe. I guess.
Billy told Jacob to tell Bella, we'll be watching, as a warning. So the song ends, and Jacob's like, should we keep dancing? And Edward's like, no, you shouldn't keep dancing. So he takes Bella back, and they drop the name of the book like twice here.
Like,
he says,
back to back.
Yeah, he says, Twilight, no matter how perfect the day is, it always has to end, which I wonder if that isn't her saying that her book is perfect.
Maybe.
Just like, oh my God, they said the name of the book. Bella starts talking about how she's not interested in a normal life as a human, and she's surprised that Edward took her to prom.
This is when Edward starts getting real angel from Buffy. My Buffy heads will know. Like, he's like, "I don't want you to miss out on anything to do with your real life. Like, I'm a monster. Like, you're the one. Like, I will stay with you, but I'm the monster." It just doesn't matter. It's like he's like taking all the autonomy and choice away from Bella this whole time.
Oh yeah, the whole time. No one's listened to Bella basically this entire book.
Once.
So Edward asks what she thought they were going to do, and she's like, I didn't think it was a human thing. And he's like, did you think that, like, turning was a black tie affair?
I thought that was funny.
It made me laugh. But she's like, well, I don't know how these things work. Then Bella declares her love for Edward, and Edward kisses her throat.
And the credits roll, and we fade into Twilight. Congratulations, Stephanie. You finished the book. I will say that this last like couple of pages, like a couple of minutes of the audiobook that we've been listening to were just really painful for me to get through. I was just like, oh my God, shut up. Guys, like, just shut up. Just end the book already.
Shut up. Just finish the book. Kiss it in the book, please. I have to wonder, do you think one could maybe pull out of this that Bella doesn't want to live in like a capitalist society?
Yeah, there's probably like an anti-capitalist like way to pull this apart.
I think it would be a reach, but I think you could do it.
Yeah, get back to me. I'll start working on that dissertation. Like, get back to me on that one.
I need that. I need that in my life. She's like, I don't want to live a normal human life. And I'm like, well, most people don't. So
No.
Why? Why don't you want to? I don't know if they ever touch on that, but
I mean, because being a human is boring. Like I said, I'm one of those that I would want to be a vampire.
it would be very exciting.
And that was Twilight by Stephanie Meyer. What an interesting book, to say the very least.
And thank you so much if you have made it this far into our first ever podcast. This has been such a journey for us.
You fucking rock. And we're super, super excited to be making more content for you guys. If anybody has any suggestions of anything that you'd like us to cover, please feel free to let us know.
You can email us at nicholeandgiulive@gmail.com with your suggestions. Tune in next time to Nichole and Giu Live.
Bye, guys.